at hand.
Yeah. All right, so here we go, guys. Vulcun in blue, Cloud9 in red. The Kassadin already being dropped away. Hai recently started playing that champion, so it seems that Vulcun making some swift sort of adjustments to their champ select strategy.
Yeah, so that might be, you know, they're just trying to take out one component of the jumping teams that have become very popular. Everybody is very much focused on these pick compositions, and Hai is definitely one that loves something like Kassadin that can just take over a game if you get any early gold.
And speaking of jumping champions, you've got actually the Caitlyn and Ahri dropped out as well, away from Vulcun. Mizuna has been playing a lot of Caitlyn, Mankz has been playing a ton of Ahri as well, and it seems like Ahri's kind of late in the split been one of the most popular mid laners suddenly.
Yeah, both of those AP mages, those are the two most popular AP mages used for pick comps and assassinating people. So it's very interesting that both teams actually had a similar idea. And both teams have said in interviews that they fear the other the most in Champion Select because all their champions overlap.
And you're seeing actually the last of these overlap champions banned away. The Shen no longer allowed for Psycho Sid. Balls had a good performance with him. The Zac dropped away from Meteor, so maybe Nasus or Brand jungle coming in there. And with 30 seconds,
I'll hold out hope for the jungle Brand, but he literally said that we're not going to use it. So.
Okay. Well, it's not going to be St. Vicious jungling Kassadin here, as Kassadin is banned, Kobe.
And
so.
neither is St. Vicious.
No.
It's not in the game.
But with 50 seconds to go, Vulcun got well, we're not getting Shen. The Jace is still up. There's other Man-Cloud specials up there as well. And they're taking their time with this one. They're like, you know what? They're making sure they steal away what they need, but also pick something that's good for their comp.
Yeah, I think that, dang, I was going to say Zed, but they've already done it now. Zed would be a big pick for both of these teams because since the two AP assassins are off the table, Zed is the AD answer. He's definitely one that's very strong, a very strong duelist. We saw in the end of that Dignitas and Curse game, Skara could basically 1v1 anyone with a 6-item Zed, even though everybody else has 6 items, because of Zed's champion kit and getting the double damage with Deathmark. Even if someone has Zhonya's, he does very well.
Yeah, you saw him beat up Void, even though Void itemized as hard as possible, getting solo lane experience the whole time through, and nearly carried the game for Dignitas. Of course, Man-Cloud gonna hope to repeat that performance. Meanwhile, Cloud9 though, they're playing with fire right here. You know, they've got 15 seconds to go. If they don't switch, those are gonna be locked in for them.
So this is actually, yeah, that would have been a 2-part troll because they've been making a lot of jokes about the Annie Shinsao lane that TSM ran, and that was they've been threatening to use that as well. But it looks like they are not gonna follow through on that, and they're gonna go with Meteor's second favorite jungler, Elise, who was banned against them quite often. And
yeah,
he's even in the 3.10 patch, she's still very strong at creating plays, and she's still banned out against them a lot.
You're right. I'm trying to remember the last time Elise has been allowed in a Cloud9 game. Like thinking back to the picks and bans, like someone steals that away, or like. So yeah, there we go. So the Elise coming in there, Balls I think has played her at some point before, but
yeah, he has. That was actually one of the few games that Balls lost his lane.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me think that this is going to be Meteos, but it could still go back to Balls.
So of course this Sona coming in there as well for elimination. A lot of performance right there. Interestingly enough, in the game I was referencing, he actually opened up with a mana manipulator and just spammed abilities. I don't know if it was just like trying something new, but I actually had to deal with lots of mana on Sona. It wasn't very fun.
I really do love that about Lemonation. He definitely theory crafts a lot of different starts that a lot of other supports don't. Like he was a big proponent of taking summon or heal for a long time because of the ramping health that you get if you take the mastery as well. And that was before anybody had started to take it.
So meanwhile, of course, Vulcun have made their own choices. A lot of these were favorites of Cloud9 back in the past. So Kennen and Zyra coming through. Of course, even Zuna had been playing Ashe before, so we might even see that combo come out.
Right. So the Zyra Ashe combo that we've been seeing so much from Cloud9 and then people who started using Cloud9's comps is not going to be possible for the C9. It is still on the table for Vulcun, but Ashe really is looking for, that's like the guaranteed engage that you're always looking for. And with this composition, they already have so much zone control with Zyra and Kennen. I don't know if they're going to want to add that one on top here.
Well, Cloud9 with the last second to go, going to lock in 2 more champions. The Jace does go through, as well as Jarvan. So some engagement is available here for the Cloud9, as well as able to follow up from Sona and whatnot. The Jace, though, for Poke, so a pretty well-rounded lineup, it looks like, for Cloud9.
Yeah, well-rounded, and then they've got the Kennen circular ultimate, as well as the Zyra circular ultimates, as well as Zed's spinning slash. Anyway, the two AoE ultimates would be used very well to protect an Ashe, and they will also get the engage whenever they want, so they can have their Zed split pushing freely, and then if he comes out on top in that 1v1, then they can actually engage on the other team with the Ashe arrow, and he can just come from behind. And if he loses on that 1v1, then they're going to have to use all the disengage that comes with Zyra.
And they'll just bravely run away, and hope to not drop down here. But Zuna still considering his last few picks, and he goes back old school style. No Ashe, you can have it, Cloud9. The Zuna Tristan, I haven't seen that in so long, and I felt like it was such a successful pick for him. And meanwhile, the Lee Sin coming through, so that's going to be a fun one for Xmithie.
Tristana's what got Vulcun to the top of the rankings. That's what got them up into that second place in the first half of the split there. And at the same thing, though, the Lee Sin for Xmithie was a huge part of that as well. He is one of the best North American Lee Sins. Always opting for that very early sight stone so that he can both make a lot of plays in the early game and leave a lot of vision for his team, just scattered around wherever he does make those jumps. So it's a very safe picks here for Vulcun. The last two are definitely comfort champions for them.
So Vulcun playing comfortable, playing Vulcan style. We saw comfort picks actually work well for TSM just a couple games ago. Last game, actually. Meanwhile, Cloud9, they're actually kind of holding true to what they said before. They're picking the Vayne against Zed, saying, look, Sneaky can beat him 1v1. Apparently Sneaky thinks he can out-sneak a Ninja.
And it's going to be very interesting, too, now where Sneaky and Lemonation go, because we have, on the 3-10 patch, we've even delayed the spawn camps of the small minions even longer. So when we come up with 2 versus 2 lane matchups, it's because they've chosen it. We don't have all the randomness anymore, and all the blue sides saying there is bottom. So the early wards deep in the jungle are going to determine the vision that allow these guys to choose the matchups.
And we'll see what matchup these guys go for. Of course, Vayne, Sona. I guess there's enough sustain there, but Vayne, I guess we typically talk about her having one of the weaker laning phases, and you try to shelter that champion until Sneaky goes late game. I guess that said, you know, Sneaky is a player that his teammates sort of compliment for doing more with less. That even if his lane sucks, even if he doesn't get a lot of the farm and it goes to his teammates, he still excels pretty well. Yeah,
so Cloud9 have always been oriented around objectives, and Vulcun, they've done a similar thing, but they do like to feed Zuna as much minions as possible. So you're right, that is two slightly different takes on the AD carry role here. But let's jump into Summoner's Rift and see how it turns out.
So here we go, everyone. The battle between the #1 and #2 teams in the North American LCS. Vulcun hoping to win 2 more games to guarantee themselves that #2 slot no matter what else happens. You're seeing Vulcun here on the blue side, Cloud9 on the top right corner in red, and the teams charging forward in pretty similar formations, spreading out only now to look for some wards in the level 1 engagements.
And the level 1s are going to be very dangerous here. We have 2 Doran's Blades starts on Vulcun, plus a red Elixir start. So that's a lot of power early here for the team Vulcun. Whereas Cloud9, they've actually had Ball start with a shield. So that makes me think that they may be looking for a 2 versus 1.
Might be where he ends up heading around. These guys still tossing out skill shots, looking for each other. But mind you that at the very top side of the map, there's a successful invade by Zuna and Bloodwater, as well as Manclad. They got a couple of deep wards into the Cloud9 red buff area. Though Cloud9 knows those are there, you see them ping out and have their own ward. They know kind of what happened with that invade.
Exactly. The only difference here is that the Cloud9 preemptively warded their red, so they saw him come in. But Vulcun did the same thing. They just didn't have to use a ward to see it.
Oh, it's a 5v3 Vulcun. They're going to get the face check. The jump in on the falls, and he explodes for first blood. That's going to go to Zyra Xmithie, flashing back with 12 HP. 2 kills picked up. Meteos not in a good place either. Flashed away. Mancloud finds a third, and now High and Sneaky are alone. Exhaust onto Sneaky. The grasping roots land. Will they get a 4th? Zuna, be careful. High's dropped low as well, and look at that. TSM 3 for 1's nice, but Vulcun 3 for nothing. Way the heck better.
When was the last time we actually saw a face check in the level 1 from any team in the LCS?
Not
a very long time ago.
Yeah, quite a while ago.
And it's actually funny because I heard both of these teams talking. Here, let's take a look at it again. It's just Balls face checking. I mean, you walk past the ward. not much to say there. They want to try and stay into Brawl to even it up, but Cloud9 come out way behind on this one. Not only do they give up first blood, but they also give up 3 kills and no answer from Cloud9.
And look at what Bloodwater did with that kill, by the way. He bought a bunch of wards, unless he just hasn't gone back to base, which I doubt. He just like, yeah, so, I mean, I could go for a Sightstone or something, but I'm going to get more wards and be an awesome support. And, of course, just the rest of the team happy and rich and fun. And now ManCloud gets to fight high with a kill lead.
Yeah, and it's that early Red Elixir. The Red Elixir double Doran's start from Vulcun that I talked about being so dangerous in the level 1 really paid off. And even though the Red Elixir is ticking, he's also got a Doran's Blade on top of that now. So Mandatory Cloud in the mid lane is going to give High a very hard time.
And you're just seeing him push forward and push forward. Meanwhile, the junglers have taken their initial camps as well. Meteos just finishing off his red buff. Level 3 double up, we'll see where he goes. Meanwhile, the same thing can happen here for Smithy. But the thing to point out as well is we have standard one-on-one lanes down here at the bottom and the standard 2v2 at the top.
So we will get to see Balls handle the Elise in the 1v1 situation and look for redemption here. So last time he had it, he did lose out. And he was just beaten straight up. Looks like he was calling for that one. He's actually started at a disadvantage, so it's going to be even harder this time.
Yeah, 3 assists, a little bit of a minion kill lead as well for Sid. We look back, and ManCloud, I should say, just is still playing that push lane. I want to see if High can keep up. It's 13 to 17 in minions right now. I want to see if High can hold on against, again, that Red Elixir disadvantage, the little bit of experience, and the constant pushing. So far, he's close.
Close is decent, especially since you're against that Zed, but he's got to be very careful when Mandatory Cloud does hit level 6 because he can easily be all in. Jace is a fairly squishy champion, and Zed's kit is more than enough to 100% burst him at that level 6.
All right, so we can see standard lane matches running around. The junglers interfering less than we normally see in 2v1. But there's the jump in. Bloodwater does get dropped down. Great pickup by Sneaky. The flash gets Zuna away from Meteos, but Cloud9 finding their opening right there. Great gank by Meteos.
Yeah, a little bit of overextension, and now High in the middle.
Ooh,
a little bit flub there on the flash.
Awkward flash by High, but the players trade ignites. ManCloud, of course, had no summoners up. He burned in level 1, but Smithy finds Meteos, deals a good bit of damage, and follows him across the wall. Interesting little slow-mo kick, but that's going to be enough for him. Smithy lurking in wait and playing chicken. Steals away from the jungle, too.
Smithy going for that YouTube highlight reel with the slow-mo kick over the wall and another kill. This game is going fast and furious, and these are both of these teams, they are fairly secure in the standings. Before in the lobby, before this game, they said they were going to step a little bit outside of their normal game plan. They're not playing as cautious as usual, and you can see it here. They're testing different avenues and trying to see what a little extra aggression will get them.
Well, I think Ball's face checking a brush, probably not an adaptation they're going to keep in the playoffs. I could be wrong. Maybe
you got to try it once.
It's training with weights is what it is.
There you go.
They went 22-2 already, or 21-2 already. So like, well, let's see if we can lose some games if we throw away our level 1 fight. And so far they found a gank. They're pulling it back, so maybe. High's actually pulled a minion kill lead off of everything, so he's doing well against ManCloud.
And High, people might be a little bit uneasy with him playing Jace again, but he played a lot earlier in the split, and he would always start with that Doran's Blade. He's very comfortable with that champion, even with all the changes to the tier of the goddess and to Jace's kit even. So it's a very strong champion, especially for the late game, since he isn't being hindered too much by that start from Mandatory Cloud. They will have a fairly good siege option here. Whenever you combine Sona with Jace, then that's sustain plus poke in the end game.
All kinds of crazy fun stuff. Then Cloud9 kind of like to play the long-range game as they unfortunately still sit at a 1,500 gold deficit. But ManCloud's actually lurking in the shadows, trying to find a little something to do. Might just be stealing away the wolves, but he has hit level 6, and you mentioned what a scary mark that is.
So I'll go into that a little bit deeper now. Since he is level 6, Zed's kit, it's very easy to get to Jace, and you pop your ultimate. It leaves a shadow right behind him. So Jace's normal counter to all-in assassins is to knock them away with his hammer, with the Thundering Blow, but Zed can just pop right back to the shadow that's behind you. And so it basically negates one of Jace's escape moves that he usually relies on. And that's why Zed is so effective at taking him out. pre-level 6, or post-level 6, and you can see how careful now High is being, even though he was winning before.
That man is playing extremely far back. ManCloud's Ignite is back up, but Smithy is standing on top of a ward. Tries to find High, says hello, lands the Q, but High says goodbye.
And up top, we have another exchange here between the Zyra Sona supports. That's all about the skill shots from Zyra. If you had locked up the grasping roots, then they can go all in. And Zuna is a Tristana player that will not hesitate to rocket jump into danger, even very early in the game, before he gets his items.
It worked in the level 1 fight, certainly. He got the slow and got the reset and managed to stay alive the whole time, but there are other Tristanas out there who jump into fights, and it's the wrong call, and you know, just sometimes tendencies can bite you in the end, so you got to be a little bit careful what Zuna does, and hopefully he does all right here. Of course, Ball's wanting what revenge from last time around when he had a sort of a rough game. You can see him there, 15 minions down up against Psycho Sid. They haven't even gone back to buy pretty much for anything this game so far. They've just been holding up in lane, and Sid has been doing a very good job. Highest KDA for a top laner and beating up on Balls, who's had, 2 MVP weeks so far.
And Smithy here does a very good job keeping track of the timer of the red buff. Even though he missed the Q, he still goes in to check that because he was aware that it just spawned. And now we have to have Midos just give it up because level 5 Jarvan can't handle the already level 6 Lee Sin, and that's a great steal for him.
And not to mention, Meteos had actually burned his smite, stealing away his, or grabbing, I should say, his own blue buff. So Meteos realized, I can't even smite battle this guy. So, yeah, in addition to, of course, the fight power right there. So, good job right there by Smith. He's still waiting around, pushing Sneaky off of his turret and saying, great, I'm going to show up top lane and get myself a turret kill for us.
Meteos get himself into trouble here.
Yeah, nice job by Psycho Sid figuring out, hey, you know, they're going for our stuff. And that's going to be the team of Vulcun just collapsing and not allowing anything for Cloud9. Really great play by these guys. The turret goes down to the top lane. Meteos steals away a big golem, but it's 3-1 in buffs now for the Vulcun squad.
Yeah, that ward from Mandatory Cloud in the bottom side river really paid off right there. They already assumed that Meteos would go to try and countersteal the red, but having the vision confirmation allowed them to collapse with certainty with both their ninja solo laners.
Well, good job then by Vulcun, holding on, and now a 2,500 gold lead. That gold has stretched now in the favor of the second place squad, hoping to make their way into a guaranteed bye in the first round of the playoffs. Psycho Sid still just holding on to his lane right here. He's not actually left the lane at all. And actually, there's the dual lane for Vulcun, finally recalling back and heading towards the bottom. Now they're grouping up for Dragon.
And they've already taken the top turret here, so they have the man advantage, and they've already got the gold advantage in their hands too. So Cloud9 don't really have an option to contest this right now.
And thinking back, yeah, there we go. Good pickup right there. Smithy getting the smite down on Dragon. Thinking back to the actual 2 losses that Cloud9 has had in this season so far. One of them was to Counter Logic Gaming, where a very similar thing happened. They gave about 3 kills at level 1, and CLG snowballed the game from that. Cloud9's other loss was actually to Vulcun themselves. So you've got not only the team that normally beat you before, but also in the same situation as one of your other losses. And Vulcun certainly seem to be playing this game properly, continuing to build advantages, and might make that number 3.
Well, getting behind in a level 1 situation is really disheartening for any player. And in our interview with Meteos, he said a lot of the times it's extremely hard for him to want to continue to play a game after they've started out at such a disadvantage before the minions even spawn. And so that really is a problem that Cloud9 have to deal with. They want to actually practice games where they start out with something like that and then work on keeping their spirits up, actually, and staying in the game. It's actually something that they really do need to work on before something like playoffs or worlds, because that is, you're right, one of the few things that has caused them to lose games.
Let's see if they can do it right there. High getting jumped on a little bit. Not too much damage coming out, but there's the aggression again in the bottom lane. Zuna and Bloodwater constantly trying to fight Balls, but Lemonation coming around the side is in vision of a ward, goes for a little bit of poke. Woo! Smithy waiting around on the wings. Root does not quite land. No kill picked up so far. Of course, Smithy, we saw him last week, the MVP, and he's putting on a great performance so far. The kills, the buff steals, he's doing a heck of a lot this mid game.
Very scary Sona gank there from Lemonation, but as the clock keeps ticking here, and we do have the teams converging more. Let's take a look at the team compositions. Never mind, Lemonation gets bursted 100%.
He goes down, does not manage to land the crescendo in time. It does go on cooldown, actually, so it just doesn't quite hit. And there's the jump in on Media, slowed down by the Bilgewater Cutlass of Zuna. Otherwise gets away 1 for 0. Good pick up there for Vulcun.
3 versus 3 lane, something's bound to break out. But Vulcun definitely taking advantage of the low HP of Sona right there, bursting her down. And they'll be able to claim yet another turret. So this lead that started out with the level 1 3 kills for Vulcun is continuing to grow over time here.
2 turrets down now for these guys, and the Dragon from earlier. Nothing given up by this Vulcun team. We talked about how Cloud9 was such an objective-focused team. They were so good at making sure that they got the Dragons, they got the turrets. That's not happening at all for them. All they found was 1 single gank by Meteos. That's all he's managed to do. So, in the rest of these matchups, here's the push in. The ult coming across, going for the damage onto high. The roots not quite landing, but the plant slowing him down. And MadCloud takes down a kill and a 2v1.
So that was actually a high going aggressive in that one, and a poor timing as Bloodwater came out from the side. Balls wants to answer though.
Doesn't quite land the stun. Minion taking that for Bloodwater. Good job commanding his minions right there. And another fight is not quite going Cloud9's way.
So Cloud9, they do have a composition meant for counter engage and poking anyway. So them being behind, they're still going to play this composition the same way that they were going to play it anyway, which would be to have them set up around a turret. The only difference now is that they're going to have to set up around their turrets, and they're not going to be sieging up against Vulcan's turrets. So what they're going to do is set up around their turret, which makes it even harder for Vulcan to dive them. And they're going to wait for Vulcan's dive and then use Sona's Crescendo as a counter engage. We're probably not going to be seeing them going on the offensive there and the flash ins from Elimination.
All right, then of course, guys, just to get you updated on what's happening for this pause, quick keyboard issue with Zuna. Should be about 3 minutes till we get yourselves back into this one, so stick with us. Going to talk about this game a little bit as it's paused and we get our issues sorted out. So we look at these teams, and it's interesting because while Cloud9 wants to poke and sort of group up, you've actually got a pretty split up, or the ability to be split up team for Vulcan. You've got the Zed, and we saw that from Dignitas' Skara, where he was actually kind of the saving grace, that split pushing Zed, soloing people, doing a good job there. You've got the Kennen as well from Psycho Sid, who's good at 1v1ing, and it seems like they've got the makings to split up Cloud9 and not let them play the poke game.
Yeah, they do have the strong duelist, possibly the strongest duelist in the game in that Zed that we talked about. And he's going to be able to side push the lane, which Cloud9 could take advantage of. Elise is very good at picking off people, as well as Jarvan. So they do have the means to actually pick off stragglers and turn this game around from mispositionings from Vulcan as well.
Let's see if Cloud9 can find those then. The push in on the mid lane. Cloud9 are grouping up on turrets, as you said, trying to knock down these minions. Zuna actually in a bit of a rough spot, down to half HP, poked down, but no follow-up crowd control is used right here. Vulcan able to back themselves out. The turret still low on HP. The push still looks like, no, the rest of the team is actually backing out. Vulcan's not going for the siege just yet.
They're definitely going to want to rotate bottom here, because not only is Zuna ahead in minions, but he also has those kills, which allowed him to finish the Blade of the Ruined King, which is a giant upgrade from just the Cutlass. So there's no way that Sneaky is going to want to duel him right now.
Now Sneaky's got up to 1,000 gold still to go to finish that. Combined right here, Zuna at level 9. Definitely nice for him, and of course just clearing the wave so easily with the explosive shot. Bloodwater, interestingly enough, look at the bottom left, actually maxing his Q first. The root duration goes up when you rank Grasping Roots, but decided I actually want the Q poke and damage output, spawning more plants. It's not a build I've normally seen a lot from support Zyra.
Very, very offensive build here. He does have some very good early wards as well, so he's definitely keeping up this gold advantage that they have by continuing to put vision in both sides of the jungle of Cloud9, which is exactly what you want to do when you have that early lead, to keep it.
Looks like they're doing a very good job of that one, actually, and that's what TSM talked about in their interview as well, saying, yeah, we got a big early lead. We don't want to throw and then realize, you know, we actually probably could have played a lot more aggressively that game. Maybe we should have. So Vulcan turning the screws a little bit, right? Aggressive wards, putting the pressure on. Smithy with a clear as well with his oracles.
And that ward just paid off for Psycho Sid up top. We had a rotation from Meteos, but as soon as he walked over the ward, Psycho Sid backed up a little bit, and there was going to be no play for Cloud9 to make up there, and some wasted time from Meteos, allowing Vulcan to have the confidence to take down this bottom turret, knowing that the jungler is over by the red.
Really well played. 3 men strong. Secondary turret goes down, making it 3-0 in turrets. ManCloud with a pink ward sweeping away another ward from Cloud9 towards that mid lane. So Vulcun still blinding the map, blacking it out from Cloud9 and wanting to just rain all over their parade. And you're seeing now with the Oracles, the ward control, Dragon taken down as well. Everything is being taken by these guys. The mid lane turret goes down as well. I'm just listing off things that Vulcun are doing well.
Well, they are doing everything well, so you can just go ahead and list off all the stuff in the game. With the champions that they have, they are winning every single lane right now, so they don't have to group up. They can just keep up the threat on every single lane of taking the turret, as well as kill potential in each one. Because up top, Psycho Sid can handle balls, and before this, he had a good ward, and they're actually going to bait this one in. Smithy comes up to help.
The flash dodge to the knockup, the cocoon lands, and Smithy won't quite find what he needs, but there's the damage on Meteos. Gets that one opened up, but there's a 1-for-0. Good play by everyone involved. Zuna forced to run away. Stranglethorn's getting 2 knockups. And that'll be enough to let the Vulcun AD carry a support run away. But the pressure is still on in the top lane, 3 versus 1. But remember, the rest of Cloud9 are rotating up here. This could be close.
The power of the Zyra disengage right there, combined with already the mobility on a Tristana and the ability to rocket jump away, as well as buster shot people back, means that they are a very good support and AD combo for a composition like this that has Zed and Psycho Sid on that cannon up top split pushing.
Well, then good escapes by these guys. Everyone making the right moves. Again, just that one top lane gank early on in the game from Meteos made this all turn around for them. Otherwise, Vulcun playing this game pretty much by the book. Looking at the gold, by the way, there is enough now for Sneaky to finish his Blade of the Ruin King. So that Assassin power spike there, the item he needs to beat up Zed, the item he needs to win one-on-one battles, is here for him. And I want to know if that's going to be just enough for Cloud9 to start turning things around, because they're down almost 9,000 gold. They've got to find something soon before they lose more of the map.
They would have to start their comeback right now, and we have to start getting worried here too, because we talked about Cloud9 wanting to stay sharp, and they look anything but sharp right now. They look like they're they look, yes, that would be the opposite. They're making very uncharacteristic Cloud9 mistakes. Balls is trying to make the plays right here.
There it is. Nice job, Balls. 1v1 takes the fight. Of course, Psycho Sid's summoners and ult were down from the prior fight, and so Balls capitalizes on cooldowns. Well done.
Now, this is what they're going to have to do, is make the plays like that in the solo lanes, because as a group, it's very, very difficult for this Cloud9 to take down Vulcun. You can see, even with the 4 versus 4, Vulcun are continuing to push. They've got a man down, and they see that Balls is still up top, yet they're trying to keep Cloud9 pinned inside their base by pressuring both of these turrets.
Well, this is good here from Balls, though, taking out that top turret. You know, yeah, he's not going to be able to join his team right now, but it's at least some kind of global gold for this C9 lineup. Though minion waves, of course, still flooding in, as you say, keeping the rest of Cloud9 stuck in. But there it is this, unless Balls just stops. All right, I guess that could have been a turret, but I think he was afraid of getting ganked. So no turret actually picked up here for the Cloud9 lineup. Unfortunately, they're still a bit down, but he will get away safely. Yeah,
and he was afraid for good reason. They had a ward up in that outside jungle, and they could see Man to Cloud coming around to circle from the top, so he assumed that Kennen was on the way, which he was, just barely getting out in time. That was very good awareness from Balls up there in that top lane.
Good read by him, keeping himself safe and not getting knocked down. Now, as we kind of get ourselves around the map, the teams keep split pushing. I want to point out a couple of other things with character builds. So you see Sneaky has actually maxed his silver bolts first. We'd actually see that from TPA's VB back in the World Finals for Season 2, and Sneaky kind of bringing that one back out here. But the other ones I wanted to point out is, since the Jace changes, since the gate no longer reduces cooldown, the E, with rank, we are seeing High max his hypercharge second, the W. Also, the jungler Meteos is actually maxing his shield second instead of the Demacian standard. So he's nice and tanky in the team fights as he gains levels.
And that's really because when they do get behind early, they need someone to be able to tank this team right now. Because their top laner, Balls, he's gone with magic penetration, you know, and he's got a giant spell and a shield, but that's not enough. Elise is not really a tank here. He's going to be dodging in and out and trying to land those cocoons, so they have to have that central point of focus. And it's always been kind of the role of Meteos here as that main tank, so filling that quite nicely.
Again, we're looking at Vulcun, and you mentioned how much they emphasize Zuna as the big late game carry, that Tristana who's carried so many games at like the 50-minute mark, and you see Zuna alone in the bottom side, able to disengage with the rocket jump and all that, and just getting the farm, getting the levels. He is 13, actually higher than anyone else, but tied with balls on Cloud9, so pretty massive Tristana.
And having them pick Tristana at the last second instead of Ashe is really the difference in the last 10 minutes of this game right now, because as Tristana, Vulcun don't want to press the issue and dive these turrets, because it is definitely dangerous with the disengage of that Sona that Cloud9 have. They can lock up people under a turret dive with Crescendo. If they had Ashe, they could start it off by stunning a person, and they would not hesitate to go all in. But because they have Tristana, they're waiting for her to get that range where they don't have to dive turrets anymore, and they can just wear them down with that 700+ range.
But Zuna a bit on the wrong side of the map right here. Gets Blade of the Ruin Kinged up by Vayne, but still getting out successfully here for Zuna. That was a bit of a close one. Had to burn his Buster Shot as well to escape.
And that's why it was one of his favorite AD carries in the very beginning of the last two splits, because they always sort of have a safety net in the end game where a lot of teams run into problems finishing out games. Tristana's range gets so high that they can just get a couple of shots onto a turret and back off, but they will slowly wear those down, and they don't have to make those dangerous dive moves.
Looks like it's going to still be the case here as we see Vulcun, as you kind of mentioned, right? The difference in the AD carries, not diving turrets, not shoving themselves too hard, just say, okay, reach the end game, Zuna go get huge, we'll close the game out later. That definitely seems to still be the goal. Speaking of Zuna, hasn't gone back in a while, 2,300 gold on him, so pretty much has Infinity Edge now if he goes back to base right here. And we see him run back, though, towards the Dragon area. It seems that global objectives still on the mind of this Vulcun lineup right here. And as we see ManCloud and Zuna go for it, it's just more by the book play. They're controlling the map, and they're now putting themselves over 10,000 gold in the lead compared to Cloud9.
And that Dragon is the reward that you get for continuing to push all three lanes in and getting the vision at Cloud9's turrets.
And good flash away by Balzo. He's going to survive this 1v2. Had to, of course, burn flash for it, but Sid is without Ignite or his ultimate. You know, last time he was actually without those abilities, it actually allowed Cloud9 to pick up a kill onto him. I want to see if they capitalize on this cooldown here, because it seems like kills are something in just very short commodity. I didn't get the words right for that one, but there aren't many, and Cloud9 need a couple.
Well, yeah, like we don't even need the kills actually from Smithy and Psycho Sid, but it's going to be icing on the cake here, as High is really in trouble.
Yeah, he's taking a bunch of pain. The Q does land. Flash not going to matter. Stun even lands there from Psycho Sid. Smithy picks up the kill. 3-0 and 3 on him. That's pretty happy. And hey, look, no one's on the map. They get a turret and the push on a Sneaky.
ManCloud goes all in on Sneaky. Doesn't want to overextend though, as it would cost him his life.
But Ball's getting slowed down. Sid trying to rejoin, lands the Q. Can he get the stun with his proc W passive? Doesn't go for it.
Oh.
And there's the knock up here from Medios. Can they re-engage? Take down Sid. He does not have ult. Has to burn his flash though. Another cooldown lost here for Sid. 0-1 and 5, holding up.
And High is still down for another 10 seconds, and they've got a minion wave at this top turret. So Vulcun can continue to keep their minions pushed on both the mid and top.
Root lands on Aminus, but he jumps back over the wall. You're seeing Zuna, they'll play the siege game. That long range of a level 14 Tristana. That mid lane turret down to about half HP. All the lanes have been pushed repeatedly by Vulcun. They've kept the minions on the other side of the map this whole time. Every kill they've gotten, they've turned into turret pressure.
Not only have they had all their lanes shoved up so they get vision from the minion waves, but Bloodwater has constantly been walking back and forth from red side to blue side, or from red buff side jungle to blue buff side jungle, and dropping wards. So they not only have vision of all the lanes, but all of the jungle of Cloud9 too, and they've been able to take every single thing on the entire map.
Well played by these guys. Everyone kind of pitching in and making sure everything is being played by the book right here. Vulcun's doing a very good job of that one. The item build still coming through. The Blade of the Ruin King, Brutalizer, Last Whisper, all done for ManCloud. That's the standard terrifying Zed build that we see so often. The Infinity Edge and Blade of the Ruin King also already done here for Zuna. And they're eyeing Baron, and they find Falls. The jump is in. Strength of Thorns comes across. Has to rappel up, but I don't know if he has anywhere to really go. Medius goes for the knockup, tries to help take the team out. Bloodwater low in HP. There's the Crescendo. Do they have the damage for Zuna? Shock Blast comes across. Doesn't find a lot. Here comes Psycho Sid, but he's been exhausted. It's still enough. 2 kills picked up here for Vulcun, and they keep on moving forward this slow. The jump back from Smithy, the dive back into the back line. Nice buster shot, stops Sneaky. Turret goes down from the split push, and Zeddy's onto the inhibitor right now, but the fight is still continuing. No, the fight stops. Just kidding.
And man, during that whole time, it was only 4 members of Vulcun over there, so they are also rewarded with that inhibitor from ManCloud. That amazing duelist in Zed that we talked about. Nobody even wanted to go try and fight him.
Not even an option. So Baron now being attempted. Health bars are a little bit low for this Vulcun squad, but it just might be enough with no one from Cloud9 even trying to stop. You mentioned the ward sweeping from Bloodwater. That definitely happened right here. ManCloud scaring Sneaky away, picked up the Baron buff. Well done, Vulcun.
And yes, that was sort of a second face check from Balls, but that one was really a mistake forced by Vulcun because Cloud9's vision was denied from the Baron. He was just trying to go over there and get a little bit of knowledge for his team back. The first time, though, a little bit unnecessary.
A little bit. Just a little bit. At least he was with the team. Just unfortunately, the team fight got one anyway. So Sneaky is now on split push duty. Actually has gone for that static shiv. He's a player that we keep saying just will buy static shiv whenever. Just it's his item.
And they need wave clear right now. So that's pretty much what he's getting this for. They can actually shove out lanes much quicker. Vayne, without a static shiv, it does not deal with creep waves very well. So it's definitely a pickup for him that, he's a big fan of that item, but also plays well for this game specifically.
Oh, that's nice and happy for this guy then. So Sneaky going to do that. Oh, Smithy nearly stealing away the red buff. That's going to go to Sneaky right here. However, there's no flash for Vayne. It's still enough to get him away. All right, good red buff though.
And what level are we at in Tristana? Only 16 here, 2 more, and we do hit that critical point where Vulcun can actually just come up to siege the turret, where he can get those auto attacks off on the turret without having to worry about that crescendo. A crescendo on Zuna and Mandatory Cloud, at least, is pretty much all that Cloud9 can come back into this game with. They're going to have to lock up many people with that crescendo and make use of their turret's damage the whole time as well. And so all Vulcun have to do are spread out right now.
And one thing to mention also is that the exhaust is still down for a few seconds, 38 seconds on elimination, so they don't actually have a way of stopping Psycho Sid's ulti either unless High gets a good knockback. So all the tools really available here for the Vulcun squad. Again, the crescendo so mandatory. Right now, it's a push in the top lane. Ball's very low on HP. Look at the pickup there from ManCloud. Takes him down in the split push, and they just might keep on moving forward. Vulcun, there's the pressure onto the turret. He's just going to take that one down, and they're into the base.
So taking out a person means you don't even have to wait for more levels. They go all in, easily take that turret. It's going to be a second inhibitor, and then probably Nexus turrets.
There we go. No, it's actually the first look for the top lane. Because it got the minion wave there. Of course, the bottom inhibitor already dead. This will be all 3 inhibs taken out here for Vulcun. There's still 20 seconds before the top lane Elise shows back up. Cloud9 trying to put in a little bit of damage. No, Vulcan's going to head right back out.
And this is the first time that we've ever seen Cloud9 just get demolished like this. And they definitely have not overcome that weakness to level 1 deficits that I talked about. And maybe it's because they're kind of brushing this one off. But you have to be worried if you're a Cloud9 fan, because that's something that they do have to shore up, and they're going to have to deal with that at some point. So it's a little bit worrisome. They're not actually making full use of this.
Hey, you didn't have to be Psycho Sid to win that level 1 team fight, and if they can't come back from this, they've got to make sure they learn how to fix all this stuff. The push still coming through. Cloud9 holding on as a group of 5, looking for the team fight. Meteos, though, down below half HP. The pressure onto the turrets. First one goes down. That makes 10 unanswered turret kills here for Vulcun. They're still right up in front. Baron buff still being worn for 30 more seconds. Super minions flooding in. Home guard coming in for Cloud9. Turret losing more and more health. Will the engage happen? Sneaky rooted up. Next turret almost going down. They don't quite find it just yet. More HP drop. Turret just survived. And there's the engage. Psycho Sid pops. Zonia's not caught by the crescendo. Media's going to fall down. That's number 1 picked up. The jump back enters the top side. A rampage for Mandatory Cloud. Sneaky forced away. Ball's running back as well. 2 kills so far. Psycho Sid now in the front lines. All 3 of Cloud9 stuck inside their fountain as the push is in here for Vulcun. They're going to pick up the win right here against Cloud9 in just 30 minutes. Nexus goes down. Congratulations, Vulcun, for the win.
Congratulations. And so they are going to lock in that the second spot. All they need is that, one more win. One loss from CLG and TSM, and they don't even have to win anymore. But Cloud9, You do have to start getting a little bit worried here. Yes, they always talk about how they have so much fun playing and they like to joke around, but nobody likes losing. And I feel like after actually losing that game, it should be a sobering experience for them, and they will step it up in the next games of Super Week because they did look pretty bad in that game.
Yeah, you saw it on their faces. They're like, yeah, that was not well played. If you actually heard the player audio just in there, I said, that level 1. And we're like, yep, level 1 was kind of important right there, not face checking.
They really have to be careful, though, and not just sort of brush it off as, oh,
sure,
we got a level 1 deficit. That one didn't count.
Yeah.
We weren't really trying hard.
Yeah.
They really have to stick to their guns, and stay sharp, like we said, because
don't be spoons, Cloud9.
You're not going to have much more opportunity like that.
All right, well, guys, we've got to take a short break, but when you return, Vulcun's Xmithy will join us to talk about taking out Cloud9. Then it's time for our 5th match of the day, Team Solo Mid versus Team Coast. Don't go away.